John, I think I was asked, I don't know, in the first month about 20 times, is John Nichols coming? Are we getting John Nichols? Well, let me give you a little bit of background on John. John Nichols is a Washington correspondent for The Nation. He's also a contributing writer for The Progressive in these times, as well as an associate editor for the Capital Times in Madison, Wisconsin. His articles have appeared in the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, and dozens of other newspapers. He's also a regular commentator for the PBS on American politics. He has been a guest on Meet the Press, Bill Moyer's Journal, and many other CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and PBS programs. His two newest books are The Horsemen of the Trump Apocalypse, I hope not, a field guide to the most dangerous people in America, and the Capital Times, a proudly radical newspaper's century-long fight for justice and for peace. Please give John a warm welcome.
I appreciate what he said. He said, please give me a warm welcome. I think we should give him a warm welcome. All right, brothers and sisters. Look at this group of people. I love it. This is a very healthy thing. This is a wonderful thing. It's a Sunday night in America. Many of you will have things to do on Monday. You have so many excuses not to come out with your fellow citizens to gather with you. So many other things you could do. So many distractions. And you've come out tonight, and it's very reassuring to my mother. I know. To imagine that you came to see me, but I know the reality is that you came because you're actually concerned about your country. And you are right to be concerned. This is a healthy thing. America will not be saved by the people who sit at home. It will not be made right by the people who decide to be spectators. The damage to our American political process is that we have told so many people that they are so powerless, so weak, so unimportant, that they've actually started to believe it. And the truth of the matter is, as Tom Paine said 240 years ago, we have it in our power to make the world new again. We have it in our power to ricochet out of the Trump moment, to ricochet out of the Paul Ryan moment, ricochet out of this awful right-wing failure into something that is rich and good and progressive and healing. And it will happen not because of me, but because of you, because you are here tonight. And why not? Why shouldn't it start right here in the back room of the casino? Why don't we take our gamble on making this country everything it ought to be? I love you for coming out tonight, and I appreciate it so much. I appreciate most of all this woman right here who's running for her local city council. I asked her why she's running, and she said, because I told my daughter, I promised my daughter that I would go and do something. I hope I'm paraphrasing you correctly. Promised her I would go and do something to prove in politics that you can be nice. It's a response to Donald Trump, right? That our politics doesn't have to be cruel and destructive. We don't have to attack Maxine Waters and say horrible things about her.
No.
We don't even have to attack Chuck Todd. We can actually be humane and decent people in politics, and it works. And when you're on the city council, it's going to start right here, go all the way up, bubble up, go right here. Not making endorsements in your congressional race. You guys need to sort that out. But I always give extra points to the congressional candidate that shows up for my speech. And I was sitting at the table with Bruce. He's one of your 6 candidates who's running. You have a bunch. I've actually, bizarrely enough, this is how serious this race is. I've been down here for 3 days. Did an event last night at the IBEW Hall in Tucson. I've now met half the candidates for Congress in this district. And, but I'll tell you that Bruce is the only one who's come to 2 of my speeches so far. Yeah, I'm going to let you sort that out. I don't want to be like the DCCC jumping in from outside. I will say that I'm very impressed with Bruce for, again, just like you. He said, I said, are you, because he's been city council, legislature, stuff like that, so are you still in office? He said, no, I gave up on that a long time ago. I was going to do a documentary about Latin America or something like that. But then Trump got elected, and I sat down with the family, and I said, well, this is a pretty serious state of affairs. I might have to change some plans. And I like so many of the people across this country who have decided to step up because they think their country's in a bad place. Yeah. And they decide to fill that void. And no offense, Bruce, most of them are women. And it's a very interesting thing. Emily's List used to put on the front page of their website the pictures of the women who are running all over the country. They actually had to replace it with one of those ticker tape things because they're now up to 26,000 women. They cannot keep track of them. And that is a wonderful thing because the fact of the matter is I gave a speech a little while back, a couple months ago, and it was a pretty good speech, I gotta tell you. Went over well. Crowd was liking it. At the end of the speech, some guy pops up. He says, why don't you run for president? I said to him, I want a 37-year-old woman who believes what I believe to run for president. I'm not saying that to be nice to women. I got to be honest with you. I'm saying that because men, I believe that Donald Trump is finally confirmed, without a doubt, that men should probably not be running things. I realize there are men who are competent. I even realize that there are men who are decent and good. I know that. But my sense is that Donald Trump has done so much damage to our gender that we are going to have many, many decades of repair work. We are going to have to take the garbage out for the next 30 years. Without a question, without any complaint, and it's still not going to be enough. So, it is in fact time for women to save us. And I think one of the things I hated most about the 2016 campaign was the awful, stupid, empty lie that says, oh well, maybe America's not ready to have a woman as president of the United States. It's an absurdity. That is an absurdity. That's what they always tell us, right? They tell us, America's not ready to have there's no way we're ever going to elect a Catholic president, right? That could never, ever happen. Until John Kennedy became president. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Lingering memory of the Civil War, all this. We're never going to elect somebody from the South president until Jimmy Carter got elected president. And there's actually no way we're never going to elect an actor president till Ronald Reagan became president. There's no way it's never going to happen. Never, ever going to happen. We are never, ever, I'm going to tell you, you're never going to elect the son of a president. And in fact, we did. Bush lost that election. And they told us there's no way you're ever going to elect an African-American president in this country that has never really wrestled as well as it should with the issue of race. Barack Obama, he didn't just become president of the United States. You need to understand this. Barack Obama was the most successful Democratic presidential candidate since Franklin Roosevelt. I hate to tell you, Democrats, you look back across your history, you don't re-elect all that many presidents. And re-electing a president, having a president win 2 times with over 50% of the vote, Bill Clinton never got over 50% of the vote in the first or second of his elections. Ross Perot took a chunk over to the side. Barack Obama was the first president since Franklin Roosevelt to win his first election with a majority of the popular vote and the electoral vote, and then to win his second election with a majority of the popular vote and the electoral vote, and that is something that ought never be forgotten. Because Donald Trump didn't win a majority of the popular vote. And this is where I'm going to begin with you tonight, folks. I'm going to try and speak a little bit quickly tonight because I want to take some questions from people. And I'm very serious about that because one of the critical things that I've found in this moment is that people across this country have a lot of questions. They have a lot of ideas they want to throw into the mix. I love that. I think that's we're at this healthy, incredibly intense moment. So I want to move through a couple of thoughts here tonight, and then we'll do a little Q&A. I promise you we'll get you home before 2 in the morning. But my argument that I'm making at this point is that Donald Trump's function as president of the United States, and I do apologize for mentioning it, but Donald Trump's function as president of the United States of America is to reveal the vulnerabilities of our political process. This is a serious thing. Because if Donald Trump somehow became president of the United States, something is amiss. Right? Something's not working right in the political process. I'm not kidding. And the first vulnerability that Donald Trump reveals is that you don't have to win to become president of the United States. Now that's a big deal. I'm sorry, last week I was in Germany. Germany has a different political system. You have to put a coalition together to run things. But do you know why you put the coalition together? To have a majority of the seats in the Bundestag, or their equivalent of a parliament, on your side. You have to have a majority. Okay. Other countries, France, they elect a president. They have an initial election, then they have a runoff election, because they would never, ever think to let someone be the president of France without a majority of the vote. If you go to developing countries, that's kind of the countries that are just beginning to struggle to realize the democratic promise, the one thing they do is say, well, you gotta have a majority of the vote. It's a simple concept. State senator, do you get to go to the state senate without a majority of the vote? No, you don't get. It's not like you get to lose the vote and go up to the Capitol. It doesn't work like that. State representative, if somebody else gets more votes for you, you're not going up to the Capitol, are you? Doesn't work that way. I'm going to even tell you this. School board, city council, mayor, attorney general, governor, Congress, U.S. Senator, if somebody gets more votes than you do, you lose. $3 million fewer votes than Hillary Clinton did. He lost the vote for President of the United States of America, and we should never, ever forget that. So how did he become president? What happened there? Back in slavery times, that's how we should refer to it. We should be honest with ourselves. Original sin of the American experiment. As brilliant as this country is, as wonderful as our progression has been, the original sin of the American experiment was that men, white men who said all men are created equal, decided that African Americans were so unequal that they would allow them to be slaves. They would put them in a condition of human bondage. That's the original sin of the American experiment. There's no other way to say it. And in that time, the people who did that compromise also said, you know what? Women shouldn't be a part of this thing. They don't get to vote. Religious dissenters, people that aren't mainstream Protestants, many states, they shouldn't be a part of this thing. They don't get to vote. Poor people, people don't have property. They don't get to vote. So at the start of this thing, we had a tiny number of people that were actually allowed to vote. And yet, some of them were still afraid that that handful of voters might pick the wrong person. So they had created an electoral college where a group of elites could come together and cancel out the vote of the majority, or at least the plurality, so that nothing too scary or weird happened. Now obviously it's reversed the scenario here, because the Electoral College allowed the scary, weird thing to happen. But, you understand, that Electoral College shouldn't be there. Of the American experiment that Donald Trump has revealed to us. He has revealed to us that we have a systemic flaw, and I'm going to be talking about my Democratic friends tonight. He wasn't the first one to reveal it. George Bush lost to Al Gore by 540,000 votes. In most places around the world, that is a substantial defeat. It's not a 3 million vote defeat, but it's pretty substantial. Democrats, when they got power after that, said, oh, we're never going back, it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
Well, it did. In 16 years, twice, a Democratic candidate for President of the United States has gotten more popular votes and not become President of the United States. This is something that people have to get serious about. But the fact of the matter is, I know it's hard to get rid of the Electoral College. I know that one option is to amend the Constitution. Another option is the Interstate Compact, where states agree that they're going to jump out of this thing, they're going to cast their vote for the winner. I don't really care how we get there, but I do care that the Democratic Party ought to make real its name. It's called the Democratic Party. There's a big D, but there's also a small d. It stands for democracy. The Democratic Party should be an absolute, unrelenting advocate for the end of the Electoral College, to say that never again does someone who gets defeated in an election become President of the United States, because it is just too dangerous.